guys, it's Bianca and welcome back to my channel. So I have looked at my channel and I had seen that I hadn't really done a few super quick natural looking makeup looks on my channel in a while. So I thought that while we're still in lockdown, it would be a great time for you guys to maybe practice looks like this so that you can kind of get them under the 10 or 15 minute mark when you're getting ready, because a lot of the time we tend to neglect our makeup in the morning or certain steps just because we're trying to save time. But if you do it effectively and you kind of practice, you'll do it a lot quicker than what you usually think you would. Like, a lot of people think that, you know, applying foundation and brows and everything is just too much time, but if you do it with good products and you do it and you practice, then the quicker you will do it. So maybe we can do a little bit of a challenge with each other and say that maybe every 2 days or every 3 days that your skin has a break in between, you kind of practice and time yourself on how to do your makeup in an effective way that it still looks good, so you can actually walk out the house and still look so glamorous. So I'm just going to be doing a basic makeup look today. So I'm not going to be doing any like eyeshadow applications or anything like that. So I just want to mainly focus on technique of the skin and brows and stuff like that. And then obviously bronzer and all that kind of thing, because bronzer and blush is absolutely essential to not make your face look so one-dimensional. I personally, when I do my clients and when I do my own makeup, I like to make my face look a bit 3D, because if you just have foundation on your face, you look dull, you look boring. It actually ages you if you don't have any dimension to your skin. So let's go ahead and start. I don't typically tend to use primers, but because I want my skin to look fresh and dewy and super youthful, I would suggest a dewy primer. I'm going to be using the No Pore Blim Prime Essence from Touch and Soul. This is just like a dewy-ish kind of primer. So I'm just going to put a little bit here and a little bit there, and you should always do or start your makeup on cleansed skin, because if you have makeup on and you didn't wash your face before or shower or whatever your routine is, it will reflect through the makeup. So if you have dead skin build up from the night before, it will probably show through your makeup and your skin will look very textured, your makeup will look heavy, and it won't sit on your skin perfectly. So you should always cleanse your skin before you do makeup, and then obviously apply your normal routine with your SPF, moisturizer, toner, etc. So because I have acne prone skin and I do have a lot of breakouts happening, this step is obviously optional, but because I have a lot of pigmentation, I tend to use a color corrector. So obviously, depending on your level of breakouts, you don't obviously have to do your whole face, but if you're using a lightweight foundation like I am today, which I typically tend to use during the day, I like to use a green color corrector, because green color corrects red, so it blocks out the redness. Therefore, when you put your foundation on, you actually have almost like a blank canvas to start with, because the last thing you want to do is put foundation on straight on all of these very highly pigmented breakouts, and then you spend half an hour trying to conceal them with a normal concealer. That's just your skin color skin color colored. So it doesn't actually tend to work as well as a color corrector would. So I'm just putting just a light layer. The last thing you want to do is obviously put too many layers on your skin. So I'm just taking my sponge and then I'm just pressing it in. This also gets rid of all of the excess that you've now put onto the skin. This is why beauty blenders are actually such a blessing in disguise, because if you put too much product on, it kind of buffs it away as well. This also spreads the product nice and evenly, so it's not all bunched up into one area, and you can also just go ahead and apply more where it's spread out too thinly. But yes, that is the basis of that. Now I'm just going to let that area set, let it dry, let it do its thing. Then we're going to move on to brows. So for my brows, I, on a daily basis, tend to use a brow pencil instead of a brow pomade. I just feel like for daytime, brow pomades can tend to be actually too pigmented for the brows, and I personally like to have a light brow during the day, because even though my roots are kind of dark, my hair is still light and I wear my hair down and that kind of thing. And also it's daytime, you don't need to apply too much to the skin. So I'm just taking my Benefit brow pencil and I'm just going to start by underlining my brow to give it definition. That's literally all you need to do, is just slightly underline where you want your brow to start and then start filling in any gaps. So if you have a lot less filler of a brow than I do, you may spend more time on your brows, but don't overdo it because then you put more product on. So, and then obviously it's kind of personal preference on how you want to shape it. I generally try to keep my eyebrows like not shapeless, but not have like super defined brows for during the day. And then I just like to take a brush through with a spoolie just so that it kind of blends what's going on. So you can kind of see the difference. It's darkened it slightly but not too much, and it's also given me some definition where I didn't have it before. Okay, so I obviously, personal preference, I like my eyebrows to be bushy and super natural, lightweight and fluffy. So now that my face has now set into itself, I'm going to go ahead and put on some foundation. The foundation that I like to use during the daytime is from my CeeMee Cosmetics. I'm just going to put a pump. This foundation has a light to slight medium coverage. I love to use this during the day because it makes my skin look super healthy and less dull. So I'm just going to put this everywhere on my skin. I literally have glitter in my hair. So obviously your foundation will be suited to your skin type and what you want your skin to look like, obviously. So if you have very, very oily skin like I do, I just set the shit out of this foundation with powder and setting spray. But if you have dry skin, then you obviously use foundations that are less matte. And obviously your coverage is also to your personal preference. Like I said in the beginning, I do have problematic skin, so sometimes I tend to use a lot more foundation during the day, but this is why it is key to use a lightweight foundation during the day. That way your skin doesn't look too cakey, obviously depending if you are using a few layers. But this is why I use the CeeMee one, because it's super lightweight, so it doesn't look cakey and it still looks like skin, and that's why I enjoy it so much. So this is now the second layer that I have put on my skin. Okay, so obviously I still have a bit of pigmentation peeking through, but that's okay. I don't like to put on too much during the day. Obviously this is not an acne covering tutorial, this is just using foundation during the day to make you look or even out your complexion, that kind of thing. Now this is your best friend in the whole world, concealer. Concealer wakes you up. As you can see, I do have a bit of coloration on my eyelids, different to the rest of my body due to my severe addiction to series, staying up all night playing Sims, and just general Gemini brain. If you're a Gemini, you will know what I mean. So here I kind of kill two birds with one stone, where I apply underneath my eyes, on my nose, as well as on my eyelids. You also don't want to be putting too much product underneath your eyes, especially if you are more of a mature skin. Like I said, less is more in these situations if you have more mature skin. So you would then obviously use less amounts of product, but then I would suggest getting a more of a pigmented product. So that Patrice one is pretty much great on its own if you have any discoloration underneath the eyes. I'm just going to set that area down with some powder, and you can kind of leave it there, especially if you have oily skin. I have very, very oily eyelids for some stupid reason, and oily under eye areas as well. So I generally just let that stay under there for a couple minutes. I don't leave it on there too long. Especially I wouldn't recommend doing this if you do have mature under eyes, because then it will just cling to your dry patches if you have any, or any of your fine lines. Okay, then also just take any of that excess powder and also set your eyelids. I don't know how many women I see put concealer on their eyelids and then they don't set it. If you want to age yourself by 10 years, don't set your concealer, because it will crease and it will add wrinkles that you've never had there before, and it just doesn't look great. So if you want some definition on your eyes but you don't want to wear eyeshadow, use bronzer. Bronzer is your best friend. So I'm just going to take some of this Benefit bronzer, and this is just going to define the socket. You don't have to put it everywhere, but just applying it on the inner corner of the socket and the outer corner almost up to the brow bone, but blended, it gives it almost like I'm awake now. Also, I'm not a blank canvas and I'm not flat. So kind of we're contouring the eyes the same as we would contour the cheekbones. So I'm just applying just a light layer just to my eyes, and then blending it out on the edges towards the outer corner of my eye. This way it just looks like I have a little bit of definition to my eye, and it looks like I don't have makeup on there essentially, but we've evened out the skin tone and any discoloration. And also it will look really nice and cohesive in the end, because your bronzer will match your eyes as well. So it will kind of look like a bronzy, I just came out of the beach kind of vibe, you know? And that is all I'm going to do for that section of eyes. I'm not going to do any eyeshadow or anything like that. So then let's move on to the face. So guys, obviously because I'm talking today and explaining what I'm doing, this video will probably be more than 10 minutes. But if you're doing it at home, you're getting ready for work in the morning, like it will probably take you even less. So you can either use a cream contour or a powder contour. For today I'm going to be using a cream contour. So I like to contour because I have quite a largish forehead. I tend to contour that and then blend it up into my cheekbones. And then what I like to do with this one is I like to bring it just slightly above my ear, and then I kind of cup it. So as you can see, this is the line that I'm following. Your contour should not be starting any lower than the mid of your ear. This is obviously just because this is my face shape, but I like to use a my top of my ear as a guideline. So if you had to look at the angle that I'm working with this angle. This I find is the most flattering angle for contour. So let me just do the other side, and I'm going to do it again. I'm going to take the top of my ear and then just cup it, so that way it kind of, you know, flows with the skin. And when I do my contouring, I like to blend my cream contour in with a sponge. I just feel it gets a bit of a more natural finish. So when I blend in my contour, I blend it up, never down, because when you drag things down onto the face, you tend to age them. So if I just blend upwards, you can see the kind of effect that it's had on my cheekbones. Probably should have left this side bare so you guys can see the difference, but even I can see the difference. Like, you can see the more of the bronze effect on the actual cheekbones. Especially if you want to slim down the face, this is a great tip. So as you can see, there's still a distinct contour and bronzing line, and it's not gone down below. But if you do make a mistake, you can always just take some powder or some foundation or concealer. Always correct it with just some foundation or concealer, and then just pat down the line that you want to correct. So then we go and do the other side, and I'm just going to start blending upwards, and I always also blend it into the hairline as well, because you never want your makeup to like just kind of stop in the middle of your face. Now you can also just dust or blend in that powder while we're here, and then just blend that contour into the hairline as well. And then if we go here, same concept. You never want to bring your contour down. This just makes your forehead look extremely muddy. And please don't contour your forehead if you have a small forehead, because the whole point of contouring is the light and dark aspect of it. Dark brings back and light brings forward. So the darker the sections are, the more, you know, just think of this when you put your contour on, especially around your forehead. So it kind of gives that shadow effect, making it look smaller. But if I had to go and highlight this area, it would look like bigger. So I don't typically like to put concealer there because it brings forward the attention of my big-ish forehead. But if you have a lighter forehead, if you have a smaller forehead, highlight your forehead, girl. See the difference? Okay. So then we have blush. So I feel like blush is an essential in everyday makeup, but obviously just depends what colors that you pick. I like to pick universal colors, that way it goes with everything. And when I take my blush, I kind of use a brush like this, so it is angled to fit and cup in with my cheekbones. So I generally like to put this just slightly above where I put my contour, but I blend it into the skin and into the contour, so it's one unit, so that we're not like placing all these different types of stuff and things on our face. We want it to look like the skin is in unity with each other. So you just kind of pat it into the skin and you blend it in with your contour. So, and it also just depends where you will, like with personal preference, where you like your blush. I like my blush to be like up because I have quite a large cheek area, and if I start putting it here, it's going to emphasize my cheekbones and make my face look fatter. So I tend to put my blush up here because it's slimming for my face. I rarely ever go over this line in this area with blush. I typically like to keep it up here and blend it in with the contour as well. And then what I always like to do after that is I like to press in the skin and press in the contour and the blush together, just to blend it in even more. And then if you put too much on, this is also a way to just buff it slightly backward and press it into the skin, so that it looks a lot more like a natural flushed finish than, hey, she's put a character of bronzer and blush on. It doesn't look right. Okay, highlighting is also your favorite, absolute most favorite friend in the world. So with highlighting, I like to go ham because highlighter is one of my favorite things. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to effectively use it so that you don't go overboard during the day. One is to put it in the inner corner, almost to your duct of the eye. I just want you guys to look at the difference that it makes when you put this in your inner corner. It opens up the eye, it makes the eye look less sallow, it makes the eye look a lot more almost like you have that that glow to the eyes you did when you were once small. So I love doing this, and then I also place a bit on my brow bone. This also adds height to the brow bone as well, and then I pat it in with my finger so that it doesn't leave like chunky bits of highlighter, and I put that over there as well. Because if you think about the placement of highlighter, you kind of want it to resemble what it looks like in the sun. So when you go out into the sun, all of the places that you want to have dewiness and glowiness is all the high points of the face, right? So it's the brow, it's the cheekbones, it's the nose, it's the cupid's bow, and obviously the inner corner, it just looks pretty. Okay, and then for the highlighter, I'm going to be taking my Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector, which we've used on the eyes as well, and I'm just going to place this on the uppermost section of my cheekbones. And I'm not going to go beyond where the eye kind of ends on my skin, on my face, just because it just looks overdone and it's not natural, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to add this other side here, and I'm just going to blend it in. And also don't blend too hard, because then you just buff away all the hard work that you just put on your skin. So now just buff that into the hairline as well. And then I like to put some of my cupid's bow. It makes the lips look juicier and more youthful. And then I'm going to pop some on my nose as well. And it just also emphasizes like all the glowiness that you want in your makeup, if that's what you're going after. Okay, so that's my highlighter done. Now this is obviously optional, but if you are a bad bitch like me and you like to have a little bit of drama and you don't have eyelash extensions, or your eyelashes don't get too much volume when you're applying them, I would suggest popping on a super natural fluffy set of falsies. Falsies take me like 2 minutes to do, but if you're nervous about it, I wouldn't recommend starting doing that straight away. But I would encourage you to play with them though, because they open up the eyes so beautifully and they're just so fun and they transform any look. Yeah, I love them. So I'm going to apply some on, and the tips and the tricks that I can give you when applying eyelashes is to make sure that you cut the eyelash so that it fits your eye shape. I see a lot of people putting eyelashes on that are too big, and then it hangs over the sides of the eyes and that closes it even more. The whole point of an eyelash is to open it up and create a lot more space that you had in your eyes than you would like. You know, the whole point of an eyelash is to open up the eyes and make them appear bigger and like juicier, and that's just, you know, what you want in an eyelash. So here I'm just pinching it down, removing any excess glue on my eyelids, that kind of thing, so you don't leave any glue residue. But yeah, these lashes are from Pinky Goat. They're from Clicks. I love this style. It's called Cans. It's the more natural one. So yeah, so but obviously first you would then apply some mascara. So obviously you can just leave it like this. So when you apply your mascara, I would recommend getting a non-clumpy one, because clumpy mascara ain't cute. So you want to get something that is, of course, volumizing to thicken up the eyelashes, and also lengthening is, of course, definitely vital. So get something that's not going to clump the edges or cling them together. You want something that's going to open the eyes. And you can tell all of that by looking at the bristles and the consistency of the mascara as well. Okay, so the eyelashes are applied, and you can see the difference in the drama that it creates with the look. So I personally, this is my, like, what I would personally do. Obviously it is optional, so you don't have to put eyelashes on, but it's just like such a nice way to jazz up a look. Okay, so then now for the lipstick. This is obviously also your personal preference, how it matches your outfit and that kind of thing. I also just make sure that your lips are moisturized as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line my lips, and then I'm going to put a lip stain on, just so that it keeps it super natural, light, and kind of along with the whole theme of the look. And of course, the more hydrated your lips are and the less dry skin and dead skin that you have on them, the longer that your lipstick will last. A lot of the times, especially with matte lipsticks, if you wear matte lipsticks during the day, if your lips aren't moisturized or if they aren't scrubbed regularly, the lipstick will tend to crack and then enhance the lines in your lips. That's why you should always, before applying your lipstick, always make sure that the dead skin is gone by exfoliating or adding a little bit of your trusted lip balm. And then I'm going to take my MAC, it's their Versacolor one. It's just like a peachy, super nice and natural looking kind of lip varnish. Alright guys, and then obviously your final step would be to just suss out how you like it, and obviously fix anything if maybe you put too much bronzer or something like that. Then the last thing that you will need to do is obviously set your face with a setting spray. I feel like because of the climate that we live in Durban and just our general heat that we have in South Africa, it's a bit ridiculous. So this will help with keeping your skin like the same as how you left it. So if you have oily skin, you would use a mattifying setting spray, or if you have very, very dry skin, I was just using a hydrating one. So that like it balances the levels of the oils that you produce, or the amount of oils you produce, all that kind of thing. So I'm just going to be taking my MAC Prep and Prime setting spray, and I'm just going to put a few pumps on my skin. And this is also gonna make the skin, like if you put some powder onto the skin, this will help melt the powder into the skin so that it doesn't sit on top of the skin and look too powdery. And then something that I like to do, which is obviously optional, is I like to brush through the brow hairs with a brow gel, and this just helps keep them up and fluffy and like nice and defined, I find. Okay, and then this is the finished look. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I hope that you will try it out, especially if you're not used to wearing makeup during the day for whatever you're doing. But this is kind of like how I would wear my makeup during the week as well if I'm going to work and stuff like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and please don't forget to click that subscribe button down below. And if anything that I said was unclear in the video, please don't hesitate to let me know about down below, and I will try and clarify it for you. So I hope you guys are having an amazing day so far, well with time, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!